Thank you for taking the time to read our article, Evidence-Based Recommendations for Employee Performance Monitoring. I am David Tomczyk, and Lauren Lanzo, Herman McGinnis, and I have reviewed the literature on monitoring employees to provide organizations with best practice recommendations to ensure that organizations maximize the utility of employee monitoring without harming employee attitudes and reactions. As technology continues to advance, we see the nature of work changing rapidly as well. These differences are evident in the ways that organizations leverage technology for gathering data on employee behaviors. No longer must organizations rely on observation and in-person supervision to judge the performance of their employees or understand how employees spend their time at work. Now, we have workspace monitoring devices that collect and store employee computer and internet usage, providing managers with objective, real-time data on employee behavior. Monitoring systems can be even more sophisticated as well. Ryder, a well-known trucking company, has devices within their trucks that gather accurate data on drivers' turns, stops, and deliveries. The organization is able to use this information to provide drivers with suggestions for making safer turns or more efficient routes. Indeed, electronic performance monitoring has become a popular trend. Nearly 80% of organizations reportedly monitor their employees in some way. But we also know that modern forms of monitoring are becoming increasingly more invasive. Client management mobile applications can monitor employee whereabouts via GPS 24 hours, 7 days a week, as long as the application and device are active. RFID badges, used to allow access to buildings and rooms, can provide alarmingly accurate data on how employees spend their personal time and breaks during the workday. In the midst of technological trends and the utility of big data for organizational decision-making, we must ask the question, what does research tell us about how employees respond to being monitored? And what can organizations do to mitigate the negative reactions that employees may have towards being monitored electronically? We have reviewed the literature to tackle these very questions. First of all, we define electronic performance monitoring, or EPM, as any act of gathering employee behavior data via electronic means. This includes security cameras, internet and computer monitoring, email and instant messaging monitoring, wearable technology such as Fitbits, GPS location tracking, and mobile applications that collect and log employee actions. There are many reasons why organizations would be interested in collecting and storing employee behavior data. Logs of employee behavior help organizations achieve compliance in legal standards. As demonstrated by the aforementioned Ryder trucking example, EPM data analysis can provide employees with guidance on safer working practices. In a similar vein, EPM data can be used for feedback and development, providing employees with suggestions for increasing productivity and limiting distractions. EPM data also provides supervisors with objective performance data, which can help mitigate rater biases during performance appraisals. Lastly, EPM can deter undesirable work behaviors. For example, monitoring internet usage serves to deter employees from engaging in non-work behaviors, such as online shopping or gaming. Research has found, however, that people often do not respond well to EPM. Several studies find that employees consider EPM to be an invasion of privacy and a violation of fairness. Even more, these negative attitudes can lead to counterproductive work behaviors, such as absenteeism, withholding effort, and even stealing from the organization. Others have found EPM to be associated with a host of other issues, such as increased stress perceptions and even lower task performance. So what can organizations do to ensure that the negative outcomes of EPM do not outweigh the positive outcomes? Through our review of the literature, we have distilled empirical findings down to 5 actionable, evidence-based recommendations for monitoring employees. You can find greater elaboration on each of these recommendations in our article, but briefly, here are our assertions. Number 1, be transparent with employees about EPM use. Number 2, be aware of all potential employee reactions to being monitored. Number 3, use EPM for learning and development rather than deterrence. Number 4, restrict EPM to only work-related behaviors. And lastly, consider your organizational makeup, such as organizational size and job characteristics, when implementing an EPM system. Please visit our article to read more about these recommendations and the research studies that inspired them. Thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoy the article.